got back from seeing Rogue One, and it's good. Now, it is by no means whatsoever perfect, but it is very, very good. I would say it's the best thing since the original trilogy, but not quite up to snuff with them. And weirdly, the most memorable thing about it for me is that it makes me want to see Niels Blomkamp do a Star Wars film, because aspects of it, especially the beginning, really made me think of his work, and that he could do a really good job on a Star Wars film. But he's busy with Alien, so I guess we'll forgive him that one. Anyway, the long and the short of it is that you should definitely go and see it. I give it a 5 out of 5 for style and 3 out of 5 for substance, giving it 4 out of 5 overall. It looks pretty, it definitely feels Star Wars-y, more so than a lot of stuff has in a long time. It's just moves too quickly. You lose a lot of stuff. You're not given time to really percolate and understand all the aspects of what's going on, so it's a little bit rushed, which is weird because there's a bunch of unnecessary shit in there. But anyway, yeah, it's good. Right, let's take the mick out of it. So what we have here is basically a war movie and a heist movie squished together, sprinkled with Star Wars on top. It's kind of like the Dirty Half Dozen in space. So in terms of the stars, you've got vat-grown generic brunette Englishwoman as Gin and Tonic, CGI Tony Danza, no, really, look at him. I found that way more off-putting than anything else, as Cassian Andor, Alan Tudyk as the spiritual offspring of HK-47, hastily inserted Chinese guy number 1 as totally not a Jedi, guys, hastily inserted Chinese guy number 2 as totally not a grumpy old bandit from the water margin, guys, and token Arabic guy as disposable turncoat, and weren't you supposed to be driven mad? So anyway, they're all thrown together in a haphazard fashion, and, you know, have their own little journeys, mostly, I guess, a little bit, some of them don't, and then Forrest Whitaker's in it for no real explicable or necessary reason, and you see a bunch of planets, and there's explosions and fighting, and then there's a star battle at the end, and then, well, you know, there's a Death Star, and there's AT-ATs, and there's AT-ST walkers as well, and... The member berries don't hurt this Star Wars film as much as they did Episode 8. It doesn't feel like they were just kind of crammed in there to tweak your nostalgia glands. Because this is set historically, before, you know, the first Star Wars film, it makes sense to have AT-ATs and X-Wings and everything that we come to know from the original trilogy in there. That all, yeah, makes perfectly good sense. And the dirtiness is still there. You know, you can tell that there were more physical effects than not, with a couple of glaring exceptions, and it feels dirty and filthy and used like the original Star Wars universe did, and in the way that the prequels with their glossy, completely CGI, completely failed to do. And Episode 8, just I don't know what it is, something just didn't feel right in that to me. I think that's probably because it fixated too much on that nostalgia. So the ghost of Lucas's over-reliance on CGI definitely rears its ugly head. Tarkin does look terrible. If they'd kept it to his back, you know, kept him sinister, kept him in the shadow, used him as a hologram or something, that would have been fine. But he's just on screen too much, and you just notice that he's weird. The Leia bit, right at the very end, that's okay. Yeah, she's just there for a second. Your brain doesn't have time to register the wrongness of it quite. But Tudyk's character, the robot, whose name completely escapes me, like most of the names of the characters in this, was really good. Now, another thing I'd love to see would be a droid-focused film. That would be rad. Maybe a robot uprising or something. Yeah, that would be cool. One where they actually have some personality and stuff. That would be cool to see, and I think we're all much more forgiving of the CGI stuff when it's a droid, when it's a non-human. We're just fine-tuned to pick up these problems. And Tarkin was just fucking terrible. just awful. There's not a lot I can say that's going to be that different to what a bunch of other people have said. You know, I've already given a few spoilers, but other than pointing out CGI Tony Danza and thereby ruining the film for many of you, I can't bring a lot more to it, but one thing I can do is I can nerd out more than a lot of other people. Some have described this as the best Star Wars fan film ever made, which is nonsense because that's Troopers. But I don't think it's a fan film. I think it's a one-off role-playing game campaign set up for a convention. Yeah, it makes sense. Oh, you can play all these characters, but they're going to die, and I'm going to throw all this Star Warsy stuff in there. And hey, that story about how they get the plans for the original Death Star, that hasn't been done. So let's all sit down and play. Here's your character. Here's your character. Here's your character. Or you want to make up your own characters? Okay. You can make up your own characters. What do you want to play? Can I play a Jedi? No, Donnie. We've been over this. You can't play a Jedi. It's set right at the beginning when all the Jedi are supposed to be wiped out. Okay. Obi-Wan's still around. There's a couple of others, but look, it's just it doesn't fit. All right, I can't let you play a Jedi. Oh, don't look at me like that, Donnie. Look, oh, come on, please. Stop it. All right. You can play a Force user that's nearly as good as a Jedi. How about that, right? With cool weapons and total Force awareness. Just not a Jedi. Is that okay? All right, cool. See what I mean? Anyway, there's a few glaring plot holes. It doesn't end on a high note. It's got much more of an Empire feel to it. But we're all older now. We can appreciate that kind of sophistication. But we also need to learn to skip merrily on past the plot holes. After all, the whole film is basically a huge plug to the plot hole in the original film about why the Death Star had such a blindingly stupid flaw. Sang.